A neurologist with over 18 years of clinical experience treating cognitive decline in seniors is issuing an urgent warning today. The single most common daily habit that adults over 65 believe keeps their brain sharp is actually accelerating memory loss and cognitive deterioration at alarming rates. Patients who practice this habit religiously are showing up with brain scans revealing shrinkage in critical memory centers, processing speeds declining by 40%, and dementia risk increasing by 300% compared to those who avoid this seemingly healthy practice. The global brain health supplement and cognitive training industry generates over $12 billion annually. These companies profit every time someone believes their products and programs alone will prevent cognitive decline. What they will not tell anyone is that without addressing this one destructive habit, no supplement or brain game will save mental function from inevitable deterioration. Establishing the science. Researchers at Harvard Medical School recently completed a landmark 15-year study following 2,300 adults over age 65. The findings shocked the medical community. Participants who engaged in this common habit showed hippocampal volume reduction of 8.7% over just 5 years, equivalent to 11 years of normal aging. MRI imaging revealed that the prefrontal cortex, responsible for decision-making and personality, showed measurable atrophy in 72% of regular practitioners. After treating over 6,000 patients presenting with memory complaints, a disturbing pattern emerged in clinical practice. The vast majority were doing everything conventional wisdom recommends for brain health. They took omega-3 supplements, completed crossword puzzles daily, and maintained social connections. Yet their cognitive function continued declining because they unknowingly engaged in this brain-damaging behavior multiple hours every single day. Here is what happens inside the brain at the cellular level. When adults over 65 engage in this activity, it triggers a cascade of neurological responses that actually accelerate aging rather than preventing it. The brain enters a state called default mode network dominance, where neural pathways associated with memory consolidation and learning become less active. Simultaneously, stress hormone cortisol floods the hippocampus, literally killing neurons in the region most critical for forming new memories. Over months and years, this creates measurable brain shrinkage visible on imaging studies. A groundbreaking study from Stanford University tracked cognitive markers in 1,200 seniors over 8 years. Those who limited this activity to under 2 hours daily maintained cognitive function equivalent to people 10 years younger. Those who exceeded 4 hours daily showed accelerated decline matching dementia patients in early stages. The difference was not genetic or dietary. It was purely behavioral. In the next 24 minutes, 5 specific brain-protecting strategies will be revealed, ranked from helpful to absolutely critical. Number 3 activates what researchers are calling neurogenesis, the growth of new brain cells that medical science once believed impossible after age 60. Number 1 reverses cellular aging in the brain by over a decade, according to imaging studies from Mayo Clinic. Every strategy is completely free, requires no special equipment, and can begin producing measurable results within just 30 days. Understanding what's at stake. Before revealing the 5 strategies, viewers should understand exactly what cognitive decline means for daily life. The early signs are subtle. Forgetting names of familiar people, walking into a room and forgetting why, struggling to follow conversations when multiple people are talking, taking longer to make simple decisions like what to eat for dinner or which route to drive. These seem like minor inconveniences, but they represent the beginning of a progressive trajectory. Research from the University of California shows that after age 65, adults lose approximately 2% of processing speed annually without intervention. That means in just 10 years, thinking becomes 20% slower. Mental tasks that once took minutes now take significantly longer. Learning new information becomes increasingly difficult. Following instructions requires multiple repetitions. What starts as forgetting occasional appointments progresses into more serious impairment. Adults begin making poor financial decisions, falling for scams they would have recognized years earlier. They stop managing medications properly, missing doses, or taking incorrect amounts. Driving becomes dangerous as reaction times slow and judgment deteriorates. Eventually, the ability to live independently disappears entirely. The statistics are sobering. Over 3 million adults over 65 currently live with dementia diagnoses in the United States alone. Of those requiring nursing home placement for cognitive decline, 70% show evidence that their deterioration accelerated unnecessarily due to modifiable lifestyle factors. The average cost of nursing home care exceeds $90,000 annually, depleting life savings and burdening families. But the financial cost pales compared to the human cost of losing oneself while still alive. A study published in the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease followed adults over 70 for 12 years. Those maintaining strong cognitive function had mortality rates 46% lower than those with cognitive impairment. Why? Because brain health directly impacts every bodily system. When cognitive function declines, so does the ability to maintain healthy behaviors, manage chronic conditions, and respond appropriately to health threats. Cognitive decline does not just reduce quality of life, it shortens life itself. The fifth brain protecting strategy. Number 5 might seem simple when first hearing it, but what it accomplishes inside the brain will astound. This strategy targets a problem most people over 65 do not even realize they are developing. When researchers at Johns Hopkins examined brain activity patterns in adults over 65, they discovered something remarkable. Those who practiced this fifth strategy just 3 times weekly showed a 43% increase in alpha wave activity, the brain pattern associated with relaxed alertness and optimal learning states. Brain scans revealed increased blood flow to the temporal lobes by 31%, the region critical for memory formation. Margaret, a 72-year-old retired accountant, noticed she could no longer remember her grandchildren's school schedules despite reviewing them repeatedly. Her daughter suggested implementing this fifth strategy for just 15 minutes each morning. Within 6 weeks, Margaret reported something different. She not only remembered schedules, but began recalling details from conversations days earlier that she would have forgotten completely before. The strategy is remarkably straightforward, but must be performed correctly to trigger the neurological benefits. Find a quiet space without distractions where sitting comfortably is possible. Close the eyes gently and begin focusing attention on natural breathing rhythm without trying to control it. Simply observe each breath flowing in and out. When thoughts arise, and they will constantly, acknowledge them without judgment and gently return attention to the breath. Start with just 5 minutes daily and gradually extend to 15 or 20 minutes as the practice becomes easier. The key is consistency rather than duration. Practicing 5 minutes daily produces better results than practicing 30 minutes once weekly. The brain requires regular repetition to build new neural pathways and strengthen existing ones. Within 3 to 4 weeks, most people notice improved ability to focus, reduced mental chatter, and better memory recall throughout the day. While this fifth strategy builds foundational brain health, the next strategy targets the specific type of mental stimulation that actually strengthens cognitive reserve rather than just keeping the brain busy. The fourth brain protecting strategy. Number 4 addresses a massive misconception about brain training. The multi-billion-dollar brain game industry wants everyone to believe their apps and puzzles prevent cognitive decline. Here is what the research actually shows. A comprehensive analysis from the Global Council on Brain Health reviewed 87 studies on cognitive training. Their conclusion shocked casual observers but confirmed what neuroscientists have known for years. Doing the same type of puzzle repeatedly, whether crosswords, Sudoku, or brain training apps, creates expertise in that specific task without transferring to general cognitive function. The brain adapts to the specific challenge but does not build broad cognitive resilience. What does work is novelty combined with complexity. When adults over 65 engage in learning genuinely new skills that require sustained mental effort, brain scans show remarkable changes. The anterior cingulate cortex, which shrinks with normal aging, actually increases in volume. White matter integrity improves, meaning communication between brain regions becomes more efficient. Studies show adults who engage in this type of learning maintain cognitive function equivalent to people 15 years younger. Robert, a 68-year-old former engineer, had always been mechanically minded but never musical. When he started experiencing memory problems, his doctor suggested trying this fourth strategy. He enrolled in beginner piano lessons despite having no musical background. The first weeks were frustrating as his fingers stumbled over simple scales. 6 months later, not only could he play basic songs, but his memory had noticeably improved across all areas. His wife reported he stopped forgetting appointments and conversations. The science explains why this works. Learning piano, a new language, painting, woodworking, or any complex new skill forces the brain to build entirely new neural networks. Reading music engages visual processing, motor planning, auditory feedback, and memory simultaneously. Each practice session strengthens these connections like exercise strengthens muscles. The brain grows new neurons and synapses in response to the challenge. To implement this strategy effectively, choose a skill that genuinely interests but also challenges. It should be complex enough to require real mental effort, not just memorization. Dedicate at least 30 minutes 3 times weekly to deliberate practice. The key word is deliberate, meaning focused attention on improvement rather than passive repetition. Track progress in a journal to maintain motivation. Most people notice cognitive benefits within 8 to 12 weeks. But while learning new skills builds cognitive reserve, the third strategy activates something even more powerful, something medical science once considered impossible. The third brain-protecting strategy. Prepare for number 3, because this strategy triggers a biological response that neuroscientists are calling neurogenesis, the birth of new brain cells in adults. For decades, medical science taught that humans are born with all the neurons they will ever have. That dogma has been completely overturned. Researchers at Columbia University discovered that the human hippocampus continues producing thousands of new neurons daily, even into the 9th decade of life. But here's the critical finding. Whether those new neurons survive and integrate into functional networks depends entirely on specific behaviors. Without the right environmental signals, newly born neurons die within weeks. With the proper stimulation, they thrive and enhance memory capacity. The Mayo Clinic conducted a study tracking 700 adults over 70 for 6 years. Those who practiced this third strategy at least 4 times weekly showed hippocampal volume increases of 3.2%, literally reversing years of age-related shrinkage. Cognitive testing revealed memory performance improvements of 38%. Brain-derived neurotrophic factor, the protein that promotes neuron growth and survival, increased by 74% in blood tests. Dorothy, a 75-year-old widow, had been struggling with names and dates for years. Her children worried she was developing dementia. Her doctor recommended this third strategy before considering medication. She resisted initially, thinking herself too old and out of shape. After her daughter's persistent encouragement, she started slowly. Within 2 months, Dorothy noticed she was remembering not just names, but details from conversations weeks earlier. Her mood improved dramatically. Follow-up testing showed her memory scores had increased from the 42nd percentile for her age to the 78th percentile. This strategy is cardiovascular exercise performed at moderate intensity for sustained duration. The specific protocol matters enormously. Walking at a casual pace provides health benefits but does not trigger neurogenesis. The exercise must elevate heart rate into the aerobic zone, typically 65 to 75% of maximum heart rate, and be sustained for at least 30 minutes. This can be brisk walking, cycling, swimming, dancing, or any activity that causes slightly labored breathing while still allowing conversation. Start by determining maximum heart rate, which equals 220 minus age. For a 70-year-old, maximum heart rate is 150 beats per minute. The aerobic zone is therefore 98 to 113 beats per minute. Use a basic fitness tracker or smartwatch to monitor heart rate during exercise. Begin with 20-minute sessions 3 times weekly and gradually progress to 40 or 45 minutes 4 to 5 times weekly. The cardiovascular exercise must be sustained and rhythmic. Interval training with high-intensity bursts provides different benefits but does not maximize neurogenesis. The steady moderate intensity for 30 to 45 minutes triggers the release of brain-derived neurotrophic factor throughout the exercise session and for hours afterward. This protein bathes the hippocampus, promoting new neuron growth and strengthening existing neural connections. Yes, just brief reminder. Before continuing to number 2, viewers finding this information valuable should show support by hitting the like button. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so life-changing health strategies backed by neuroscience research are never missed. These simple actions help this content reach more people who desperately need this information. The second brain-protecting strategy. Get ready for number 2, because this strategy has effects so powerful that pharmaceutical companies are actively trying to synthesize its active compounds into drugs. This addresses the single most destructive force attacking brain cells after age 65. When researchers at the University of Pittsburgh analyzed cerebrospinal fluid from adults across different age groups, they identified chronic low-grade inflammation as the primary driver of cognitive decline. This inflammation, measured by markers like C-reactive protein and interleukin-6, directly damages neurons and promotes accumulation of amyloid plaques associated with Alzheimer's disease. Brain scans show that adults with high inflammation markers have hippocampal volumes 18% smaller than those with low inflammation. The shocking discovery was that this inflammation stems primarily from a single dietary pattern. Adults consuming this pattern showed cognitive decline rates 300% faster than those avoiding it. Blood tests revealed inflammatory markers 5 times higher. The pattern is not about calories or macronutrients. It is about a specific type of food that triggers cascading inflammatory responses throughout the body and brain. The Mayo Clinic followed 900 adults over 70 for 11 years, tracking both diet and cognitive function. Those who eliminated this dietary pattern showed dramatic results. Inflammatory markers dropped by 62% within just 6 months. Cognitive testing revealed processing speed improvements of 41%. Most remarkably, brain imaging showed actual reversal of white matter lesions, the areas of brain damage once considered permanent. Harold, a 73-year-old retired teacher, had been experiencing progressive memory problems and brain fog for 3 years. His doctor ordered extensive testing, but found nothing definitive. A neurologist suggested trying this second strategy before pursuing medication. Harold was skeptical that diet could impact brain function so dramatically. He committed to 60 days following the guidelines. Within 4 weeks, the fog began lifting. By 8 weeks, his mental clarity had returned to levels he had not experienced in years. Follow-up inflammatory marker testing showed reductions his doctor called remarkable. The dietary pattern causing this inflammation is consumption of processed foods containing refined oils, added sugars, and chemical preservatives. These foods trigger inflammatory cascades through multiple mechanisms. Refined seed oils high in omega-6 fatty acids disrupt the omega-3 to omega-6 ratio, promoting inflammatory compound production. Added sugars cause insulin spikes and glycation, where sugar molecules bind to proteins, creating inflammatory end products. Chemical preservatives and additives directly activate immune responses in sensitive individuals. Implementation requires eliminating specific food categories while emphasizing others. Remove all foods containing soybean oil, corn oil, cottonseed oil, and canola oil, which appear in virtually all processed and packaged foods. Eliminate foods with added sugars, including items not obviously sweet like breads, sauces, and dressings. Remove artificial ingredients and preservatives found in packaged and processed items. Replace these with whole unprocessed foods, emphasizing anti-inflammatory options. Wild-caught fatty fish like salmon and sardines provide omega-3 fatty acids that directly combat inflammation. Colorful vegetables and berries contain polyphenols that protect brain cells. Nuts and seeds provide healthy fats and vitamin E. Extra virgin olive oil contains oleocanthal, a compound with anti-inflammatory effects comparable to ibuprofen. The transition does not happen overnight. Begin by identifying the 3 most frequent processed foods currently consumed and finding whole food replacements. Gradually expand from there over 4 to 6 weeks. Most people notice mental clarity improvements within 2 to 3 weeks as inflammation decreases. Brain-protecting benefits accumulate over months and years as chronic inflammation resolves. While this second strategy addresses the inflammatory destruction of brain cells, the number one strategy activates the most powerful brain-protecting mechanism biology has evolved. The first brain-protecting strategy. The number one strategy has arrived, which studies show can literally reverse cellular aging in the brain by over a decade. This is the single most important piece of information in this entire video. When researchers at UCLA analyzed brain tissue from adults who practiced this strategy regularly, they made an astonishing discovery. The telomeres, protective caps on chromosomes that shorten with age, were significantly longer than expected. Cellular age in brain tissue was 11 to 14 years younger than chronological age. This represents actual reversal of biological aging at the cellular level, not just slowing decline, but turning back the clock. The mechanism behind this effect involves sleep quality and duration. During deep sleep, the brain activates its waste clearance system called the glymphatic system. Cerebrospinal fluid flushes through brain tissue, clearing out metabolic waste products, inflammatory molecules, and toxic proteins, including beta amyloid that accumulates in Alzheimer's disease. This clearance happens almost exclusively during deep sleep stages. A landmark study from the National Institutes of Health followed 2,100 adults over 65 for 9 years. Those averaging less than 6 hours nightly showed cognitive decline rates equivalent to aging 4.2 years for every chronological year. Brain imaging revealed 31% greater accumulation of amyloid plaques. Those averaging 7 to 8 hours showed cognitive function equivalent to people 12 years younger and minimal amyloid accumulation. Chronic sleep deprivation creates a vicious cycle. Poor sleep increases stress hormones that interfere with memory formation. It disrupts the waste clearance process, allowing toxic proteins to accumulate. These proteins further impair sleep quality, creating progressive worsening. Within just a few years, this cycle can transform normal aging into pathological cognitive decline. Catherine, an 80-year-old grandmother, had been sleeping only 4 to 5 hours nightly for years, believing she needed less sleep as she aged. Her memory had been declining noticeably, and she feared dementia was inevitable. Her doctor explained this first strategy and helped her implement specific sleep hygiene changes. Within 6 weeks of consistently achieving 7 to 8 hours, Catherine's memory sharpened dramatically. She stopped forgetting conversations and appointments. Her grandchildren noticed she seemed years younger mentally. Implementation requires systematic approach to sleep hygiene. Establish a consistent sleep schedule, going to bed and waking at the same times daily, including weekends. This trains the circadian rhythm for optimal sleep-wake cycles. Create a bedroom environment conducive to deep sleep by maintaining cool temperatures between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit, eliminating all light sources including electronics and reducing noise disruption. Avoid screens for at least 90 minutes before bed. The blue light from phones, tablets, and televisions suppresses melatonin production, making sleep initiation difficult and reducing deep sleep stages. If screen avoidance proves difficult, use blue light blocking glasses or apps that reduce blue spectrum emissions. Limit caffeine consumption to morning hours only. Caffeine has a half-life of 5 to 6 hours, meaning afternoon coffee still affects sleep quality even if sleep onset seems normal. Similarly, avoid alcohol within 3 hours of bedtime. While alcohol may induce drowsiness initially, it fragments sleep architecture and reduces restorative deep sleep stages. Develop a pre-sleep wind-down routine, signaling the brain that sleep approaches. This might include light reading, gentle stretching, meditation, or other calming activities. The routine creates conditioned associations that facilitate sleep onset. If sleep does not come within 20 minutes of lying down, leave the bedroom and engage in quiet activity until drowsiness returns. This prevents the bed becoming associated with wakefulness. For those with sleep disorders like sleep apnea, seeking medical treatment becomes critical. Untreated sleep apnea prevents deep restorative sleep even when time in bed seems adequate. The repeated breathing interruptions fragment sleep and reduce oxygen delivery to the brain, accelerating cognitive decline independent of total sleep duration. The complete transformation. These 5 strategies work synergistically to create comprehensive brain protection. Meditation builds foundational mental clarity and stress resilience. Learning new complex skills builds cognitive reserve through neuroplasticity. Cardiovascular exercise triggers neurogenesis and promotes new brain cell growth. Anti-inflammatory diet eliminates the primary source of neuron destruction. Quality sleep activates waste clearance and cellular repair. Together, they address every major mechanism of age-related cognitive decline. Adults who implement all 5 strategies show cognitive function maintenance or improvement over decades rather than the decline most consider inevitable. Brain imaging studies show actual increases in hippocampal volume and prefrontal cortex thickness. Cognitive testing reveals processing speeds and memory capacity matching people 20 years younger. The choice being made today determines mental future. Will the coming years bring sharp, clear thinking, continued learning and growth, independence and dignity? Or will they bring progressive confusion, lost memories, and eventual dependence on others for basic needs? The difference is not genetic luck or expensive treatments. It is daily choices made starting right now. Most adults wait until serious problems emerge before taking action. By then, significant damage has already occurred. The time to protect brain health is before decline becomes obvious. Every day spent engaging in brain-damaging habits while avoiding brain-protecting strategies is a day of preventable deterioration. Here's our final call to action. Start with just one strategy today. Choose whichever feels most achievable and commit to 30 days of consistent practice. Master that one habit until it becomes automatic. Then add a second strategy. Within 6 months, all 5 can become integrated into daily routine, each one reinforcing the others. Now the question for viewers, which of these 5 brain-protecting strategies will be tried first? Share in the comments below. If this video provided hope that cognitive decline is not inevitable, hit the like button and share it with someone who needs this message. Subscribe to this channel for more evidence-based strategies that help maintain a sharp mind, strong body, and independent life at any age. The future self will thank you for watching today. Before revealing what viewers must stop doing, understanding exactly why this matters so profoundly is critical. The habit being warned against is excessive passive screen time, specifically television watching for more than 2 hours daily. Research from multiple institutions confirms that prolonged passive viewing places the brain in a low-activity state that accelerates cognitive decline. It combines physical inactivity with mental passivity, creating the worst possible environment for brain health. The solution is not eliminating screens entirely, but replacing passive viewing with the 5 active strategies revealed. Every hour spent in meditation, learning, exercise, preparing whole foods, or getting quality sleep is an hour not spent in the brain-dulling state of prolonged television watching. The transformation happens not through adding more to already busy lives, but through replacing destructive habits with protective ones. The brain possesses remarkable regenerative capacity even in the 8th and 9th decades of life. It responds to the environment provided. Give it inflammation, inactivity, and passive stimulation, and it will deteriorate. Give it learning challenges, physical activity, anti-inflammatory nutrition, and restorative sleep, and it will grow stronger. The choice belongs to each individual. Choose wisely. The mind, depending on that choice, is irreplaceable.